Welcome! I'm making Senzo, a samurai-inspired open-world survival game. In this video I'll showcase the building mechanics. In the course of this video we will be building this Japanese house. A central concept in the building system is that of stability, that every piece that you place down will have some kind of stability and that will be passed on to the pieces that are touching it. It is made so that building on top of stone, or in this case a rock, will give you better stability than if you build directly on the ground. So the vertical beam that I placed down first has a stability of 100 because it's on a stone foundation. If I put it directly on the ground, it would only be 75. So each of the pieces have snap points where you will connect the other piece to if you're close to it. It will always pick the closest snap point on the piece you're pointing at to be your anchor. And then on the piece you're placing, you can change your snap point. You can see this more clearly when I'm now trying to place down some stairs. I will start out with having the stairs on their lower snap point, and then I will change to the right lower corner and then to the upper corner. This allows me to place it how I want. When placing down a piece, you can rotate it around your selected snap point. So here you can see I'm rotating the beam by 15 degrees until it's flush with the other ones. The snap point mechanic will probably take a little bit to get used to, since both the piece you're placing and the piece you're pointing at has snap points. Okay, let's speed up this building a bit until I have the frame constructed. I want the player to have to frame their building so that these beams or beams like this will carry the weight of the building, and that each of the sort of wall components will to a much lesser extent carry any weight, and that when you build you will have to think about how you're gonna support it going forward. And there will be some techniques that you can use. As you can see, I'm gonna get into trouble going into the dirt and doesn't look all that nice, but I didn't want to redo it. And then I'm putting down some lattice work underneath to support the floor. Here I should probably have gone with a more rectangular pattern from the beginning, the diagonals that I chose, but well, they'll be hidden by the floor eventually, so no biggie for now. It is time to put down the floor, and part of the reason the beams have an upper and a middle snap point is to be able to put the floor either down in the middle of the beam, but then you get a frame around the floor, or you can do as I'm doing here and put it on the top. And here you can even see that I needed more lattice work underneath, so that's why I thought I would go with a square pattern. These floor tiles don't support much weight. That's why they need to have that foundation. Time to build support for the walls and eventually for the roof. I'm putting them down a bit haphazardly at the start because I haven't done the calculation of where I need them. So now I just want to get some down somewhere and see what happens. The way I'm putting them down now is not optimal, because I have the horizontal beam in between the two verticals, so I'm losing some stability. Finishing off with a little rock to increase the stability of that corner. And then it's time to pick up the pieces for making the roof. So in the game you will have 10 taskbars, so I just switched to taskbar number 3 to have all the roof tiles. And here I need to have a corner beam plus a 1 beam to be able to put down the corner properly. And then once I've put it down, I swapped it out for a 2-meter beam. As I said, placing down the first corner is a little bit fiddly, but after that they can all be just built off each other and they will fit perfectly along the way. And here you see there's more places where there's not enough stability. In some of them I do quick fixes to solve it, but in the end it's not gonna be enough. The goal for the game is that you're going to be able to build houses like this, mansions, and even build the castle in the background. That's the goal. But for now, let's see if we can solve this fiddly corner where the stability is not enough as is. So the solution to this problem proved to be to make sure that the vertical beam in the bottom is linked to the top snap point, so that when you place the upper beam, it can be placed and be touching the lower vertical beam, and therefore transfer the full stability from the vertical to the upper beam without having the diminishment from this horizontal layer. This gave me enough stability to finish off the first row of roof, but as you'll see later, I'm gonna need some interior support to make it work for the topmost part of the roof. It is time to get some walls in place, and you drag and drop them into your taskbar. I wanted the house to have windows facing the ocean, so here we go. When placing the windows, again, you need to take into account, are they gonna have the beams be visible on the outside, or are you gonna place them on the outside of the beams? And eventually I'm thinking that you should have some interior walls, so you could have a double wall and cover the beams on both sides. At the moment there's a limited selection of wall parts, but eventually I'll add many more, so you have lots of variety to choose from when you're building your dream house with a scenic view. To try and give the roof some more stability so I can finish the topmost part, I'm here trying to put in a roof framing. This is a special piece meant to support the roof, and it also goes another pillar all the way down to the ground to maximize its stability. I'm gonna need the same thing on both sides. It was a little bit difficult to put it down, but eventually I got it. And then we can now try to put down the final pieces of the roof, and hopefully we have enough support. By the way, the wind you're hearing in the background is the actual ambient sound in the game. And here we're finishing off the roof with a little decorative piece on the top, but it still requires stability to stick there. The same corner that gave me problems in the beginning kept giving me problems. So I needed to do the same trick here, but even that proved to not be enough. The roof required another roof framing to have the stability it needed. And then I looked into sort of finishing it off, hiding a bit of the roof frames underneath regular beams in the roof. And voila, it is done, the roof. Oh, sort of. Now all Japanese looking house typically have these eaves hanging out across the outside the wall. This is to prevent or limit the amount of sun that gets into the house. So we need them. They're also missing some stability, you can see, but we'll eventually get them in place too. Few things feel more Japanese than the sliding walls. So here we're gonna add a shoji, which is a paper wall that can be slid to the sides, or actually we're gonna add 4 of them. Each of the walls on the default direction slide from where they're standing toward the right. So they need to be turned around the right way so that they will actually slide the way you want them to slide. So here I'm thinking that the 2 outermost walls are gonna slide in toward the middle, and the middle walls are gonna slide out, and then you can individually slide them in the game. And now for the moment of truth. Do the door work? Voila! Thank you for watching to the end. Like and subscribe and all that good stuff, and I'll be back with more Senzo content eventually. Just have to make the game first.